We're excited you're interested in a Lads Gear holster. We want to help you get it sized for your gun. So, what we recommend that you do is you take the weapon that you would like to have a holster for. You measure from the very front of the barrel to as far back on the gun as you want to be encased in the holster. So, if you're okay with the rear sights being on the outside of the holster, you would measure to here. If you want the rear sights inside the holster, you go just a bit further to the back of the gun. After you've done that, you're going to want to add a 1/4 inch because that's the general spacing that we recommend on the front of the holster. That's a gap between the end of the holster and the start of your gun. So as an example of measuring, in this case, if I wanted to insert my holster up to the rear sight, the measurement would be 5 5/8 inches. If I wanted the rear sights included in the holster, then it would be approximately 5 7/8 inches. And then of course you would add a 1/4 inch for the spacing that is recommended at the front of the holster. All right, now let's talk about sizing your holster in the vertical plane. I'll tell you how we measure this at Lads Gear, and it'll help you determine what the correct vertical measurement is to satisfy your gun. Generally, what we'll do is we'll affix the accessories that take space in the holster. In so doing, the open dimensions vertically will tend to shrink a little bit as the holster starts to fill with accessories. Then we'll go a step further and we'll generally insert what we consider a chunky gun to fill that space a little bit more. In most cases, as in this one, we'll be using a Glock 26. Glocks these days are probably among the chunkier guns. And then we take the measurement. So you can see that if your gun is more slender, then you should easily be able to fit in that dimension. When measuring for the vertical dimensions, you're going to measure from the lowest portion of the trigger guard to the top of the frame. If you're including the rear sights in the holster, then you'll want to add approximately 1/8 of an inch to that overall measurement. All right, a couple of sizing pro tips for you. First of all, if you find that your measurements for your gun are very close to the tolerances listed on our website, it would generally be our recommendation to go with the next larger holster. You can always fit a slightly smaller gun in the larger holster, but obviously it doesn't work the other way around. And we want you to really enjoy your holster and not be frustrated because it's turned out to be just a little more snug than you wanted it. The other possibility, of course, is that if you're going to be using multiple weapons, you're always going to want to opt for the larger weapon. Now, of course, they're going to have to be similar weapons of similar size. But if there's variances, always pick the larger weapon. The other possibility is, of course, if you're using multiple weapons of similar size in the same holster, you're always going to want to use the largest of those weapons as your means of measurement. The last thing I would suggest is if you're kind of on the bubble and you're right on that edge, maybe you want 2 Lads Gear holsters to make sure that you have a holster for every possible scenario. Maybe, for instance, you carry a revolver and a semi-auto pistol sometimes, like I do. Take advantage of some of the discounts and specials that we offer to buy multiple holsters.